afternoon. This is a great turnout to our March membership meeting. I'd like to welcome you all as you know, every AIA event relies on the help of our sponsors, and at this time I'd like to recognize each of them for their collaboration and contribution towards today's event. First, our annual corporate sponsors. We have Shoecart Corporation, Full Service General Contractors. Is Chris Burrell here? Next, on the gold level of sponsorship, we have RMF Engineering. I think I saw Mike McCarthy. Thank you for your sponsorship. DWG Engineers. Unfortunately, Mike Weeks is not able to attend today. From the print machine, I saw Jamie. Jamie, where are you? Jamie, thank you for your sponsorship. And Mashburn Construction, Jeff Griffin. Jeff here. Next, today's event sponsors, Stagefront Production Services, Chase Nelson. Chase, thanks for Stagefront's participation and sponsorship of today's meeting, for this great venue and our great lunch. And I believe Chase has some information on your way out the door if you want to stop by the table to my left and pick up some of that about their services. So please join me in thanking all of our wonderful sponsors. I'd like to call your attention to a few resources available on our newly renovated website, AIACharleston.com. Specifically, I'd like to point out a few tabs that run along the top of the website. The Home tab, this lists our current monthly events, which you receive emailers about. The next tab is the Calendar tab. This houses the Google Calendar with live links to allied member events such as the Construction Specifications Institute, the Building Enclosure Council, the Custom Residential Architects Network, the SMPS, and other related allied events and happenings in our area. And it's a great resource to check on our events. Next is the Job Posting tab, and I'm so pleased to report that we have several opportunities listed there. It's a great sign for our profession that firms are back and hiring again, so I'd encourage you to pass along those opportunities to anyone you know who's looking for work. Finally, the Learning Unit tab houses local, state, and national continuing education events, specifically those which provide learning units. And check back often on that site because it's updated just about every week. Next, I'd like to ask Michael Edwards to speak to an upcoming Clemson Advancement Foundation meeting. Michael?
Thanks, Dan. I just wanted to let everybody know that next Wednesday night, April 4th, we're going to have a Clemson Advancement Foundation Urban Reception, as John Jacks is calling it. It's an opportunity for not only Clemson alumni, but really anyone who wants to support the local School of Architecture here in South Carolina, to come enjoy just food, fellowship. It's just a light hors d'oeuvre opportunity to have a few beers and just socialize. John does plan on showing information, a little short presentation on the new Lee Hall 3 edition, as well as information on the new school down here in Charleston. So that's all next Wednesday night from 6 to 8:30. I've sent out information, and John has sent out information. The Clemson Alumni Association has sent out information. You've probably received it 3 or 4 times. There is also information on the back corner table. Just RSVP to John Jack, and you'll be good to go. Look forward to seeing you. Thanks.
Great. Thank you, Michael. Next, each year AIA Charleston sends the President and President-elect to the Grassroots Leadership Conference in Washington, D.C. This year, Don Boss and I were fortunate enough to attend and advocate on your behalf to our elected officials in Congress concerning legislation and affairs that directly affect our profession. The National AIA laid out its plan to rebuild America, brick by brick, by means of 4 specific asks to our elected leaders. I'd like to briefly go through each of these topics. The first, we asked Congress to pass legislation such as the Capital Access to Main Street Act, which would prevent large commercial foreclosures and free up credit to help get small businesses back to work, while also kickstarting stalled projects. Next, we asked Congress to increase the energy-efficient commercial building tax deduction, otherwise known as 179D, from the current $1.80 a square foot to $3 a square foot. It is our belief that this would incentivize building owners to renovate thousands of buildings and promote more efficient building designs as a part of our 2030 commitment. In addition to creating thousands of jobs, owners who are not able to take advantage of this deduction are able to pass this through to their design professional. Because 95% of architecture firms in the U.S. employ 50 or less people, we next ask for continued support of legislation that protects the definition of a small business and reduces high tax rates and the burdensome paperwork that this places on small businesses. Next, we ask Congress to pass reform legislation that maintains current funding levels, invests in all modes of transportation, and promotes well-designed, sustainable transportation projects that enhance our communities. After touching on the national topics, we continue the sustainability conversation, asking for support of green energy initiatives at the local level. The Clemson wind turbine test facility and offshore wind opportunities could have great impact on our local economy as well as our international presence. Lastly, we expressed our support for dredging Charleston's harbor as a priority to our region's economic stability. We heard unanimous support in all of our meetings with our elected officials. Supporting the port and its industry is a #1 priority in Washington, thanks to Mayor Riley and his team. And I'd like to personally thank you for the opportunity to serve as your voice for our profession. Don and I plan to arrange follow-up meetings with our leaders in Columbia to continue these conversations. And if you have a desire to get involved in advocacy for our profession, I encourage you to get in touch with me or Don. And I think at this point we're going to have a state update.